when they go for that poking defensive war. But all in all, yeah, definitely a 50-50 matchup, which was eked out by the fact that they hit 16 first.
Oh, well done to Darksided for taking game number 1. We're going to go to game number 2 in just a few moments' time. But before that, let's hear from those who, in part, make all of this possible.
The 2017 Heroes Global Championship Finals are brought to you in part by Republic of Gamers, Intel, T-Mobile, and NVIDIA.
Time for game number 2 here in a moment's time as we do continue things down the line. BTG are on the last legs now, unfortunately for them here, and they've got to bring out something special. Might not be the Alarak, but whatever they've got up their sleeves now, if it's anything beyond that, we're going to have to see it right now. Anything that you can fathom?
Quadruple support.
Let's go find out what the next map is going to be before these guys can continue any further. We have Praxis Holdout, chosen by Darksided. And overall, this is our first Praxis Holdout map, correct?
I believe so, yes.
It is,
yes.
yeah.
Awesome.
You were on the money with Towers of Doom, Praxis Holdout as well.
Yeah.
Wonder if we're going to see a Team League favorite here. Start with the innocent Ariel first pick, then follow into Cho'Gall, and then finally Zarya Medivh, and just push one lane.
I was with you with the Ariel, and then you went to the Cho'Gall route. I mean, I'd be happy to see it.
Just ignore the second lane.
Yeah, just completely ignore it. I was thinking Morales and Ariel.
All I'm saying, because I know Trick's going to get very excited when I say it, it's Praxis Holdout. It's going to be a Ragnaros. I can guarantee.
Yeah, I think Sulfure's match should be really good here.
Really whoa. You're thinking outside the box. Don't get too creative now.
I know,
Come on,
man. I know. We push it here when we can.
But how will you kill minion waves with that lava?
You know, that is a big question that I think Darksided will have to answer if they go for it. Darksided is a team that have initially showed the Lava Wave Ragnaros.
That's right. All right, let's get into it. Draft number 2 here. Praxis Holdout will be our map. Currently, Darksided leads 1-0 against BTG.
So, bans that we have seen in the past here is that Morales, I think she's very strong in this battleground, gives you a great matchup in the bottom and the top lane, so she could be played here between these two teams. Instead, though, Beyond the Game elects to take away that Garrosh, which in itself, you will have a laning phase, and Garrosh, whenever he is near a turret, he always has that potential to kill any target that he can find.
So, no Cho'Gall Ariel dream, one lane play.
Sorry, Grubby.
They get the Morales though, yeah. I mean, that means that now they got a very strong bot lane. Typically speaking, Darksided do like to get aggressive, but they want those fights to be nice and quick. This is the Chromie special. This is what Haki is so well known for, and this is one of the best maps for it.
He was counterbanned before by, I believe, Fnatic. They removed Chromie on Dragonshire.
Correct.
One moment here. If Chromie is already in the game, and say, for example, down the line, like Ragnaros appeared, does that mean you just kind of flip off the face of the earth, Trixler? Is that just kind of like too much for you?
If it's Murky too, right?
I just hope you all bow down to me as the prophet, you know?
Chromie, Murky, Artanis, Ragnaros.
Well, there's a Murden, so potentially no Artanis. Although Artanis in the top lane does pretty well against a decent amount of people here.
I think I've opened up the floodgates.
I mean, you have. I mean, if you're going to open the floodgates, I'm going to drop down my thoughts. That's just how it works, man. You're used to this. It's been a few months, but you should remember this.
Yep.
Well, Chromie Murden, easy setup for those combos for Chromie. The Dragon's Eye, after a heavy impact jump, allows for any target to be burnt down, even a Morales on the opposing side, so Darksided has a good start.
I mean, I'd argue that even the new Murden is even better with Chromie, because you set it up for the initial position for a long time.
Totally, yeah. Like, you set people down, you go in for the heavy impact, you fall up into the Stormbolt, you have them stunned for a good amount of seconds there, and Chromie's like, all right, well, here's the W, here's a Q. Guaranteed damage.
This is our first maneuver, right?
I was just going to say the exact same, right? And I feel like it has a lot of value towards shutting down this Chromie. You burrow in, you go for that kill, designed innately to try and take down these wizards or mages, if you will. And the Cocoon will find value like we trusted back in the day.
I mean, Anubrak is so good, his kit is so solid. We haven't seen him because we haven't really seen mage picks. We've seen Kel'Thas and Li Ming, but they were generally towards the tail end of the draft. Chromie first pick, I believe, is the first mage in pretty much the upper half of the draft, so makes a lot of sense.
For me, this Anubrak is actually a key pickup here for Beyond the Game. I think they need heroes that they pick and say, kill this target. And a Cocoon will do that here for Beyond the Game. So as long as they find the target that they want to land on and then call for the engage, Anubrak can set that up. But they have to be quick. There's a lot of misconceptions about Cocoon that if you can get to a fight and if you don't kill anybody, you can continue moving forward. Anubrak actually suffers in long sustained team fights. So I don't want to see that there from Beyond the Game. I want to see them moving in and trying to delete a target.
Whereas Darkseid, in order to protect themselves against that, right, Trickster, you would want to have several layers of protection.
Exactly.
Double support or something, but there is no design space for that in the draft anymore. And in fact, Malfurion, I think he's one of the better supports against the Nubrak. You get cocooned, but you've still got your regrowth on several heroes doing their thing. Other heroes, when they get cocooned, they have no sway, no effect anymore. Malfurion does.
I was going to argue there's two different ways I suppose you can try and tackle the Nubrak. One being the Malfurion with the root when he burrows in. You've got the Twilight Dream to say once you're here, you're committed, you are going to fall on down. The other way, potentially, you've got the cleanse option, so if you know that Cocoon's going to come across.
Oh, he doesn't have cleanse, right?
Essentially, right, that was the other option they could have considered with, say, like a Rhaegar or a Brightwing. You cleanse the Cocoon because the animation's been significantly slowed on down, but they decide to go for the mouth. This is a comfort pick for Moops. Same with the Greymane, and that fifth and final spot, I'm still screaming, thinking it's that Ragnaros.
I mean, it's gotta be a solo laner unless Darksided gets creative and puts a 2-3 rotation, kind of. For example, Murden, Greymane top, and then Malf, Chromie, something bottom. But it looks like a single support by Darksided. Double support here by Beyond the Game. Potentially 2 globals, 5 if you count Medivac for Beyond the Game.
It's looking a lot better for Beyond the Game this time around. They got the Illidan.
I think so too.
Arthas, final pickup here to help out with the Illidan that will be diving forward and looking for those fights. Darksided setting up with a pretty strong draft in terms of control.
Arthas is a good pick against Illidan. He's a good solo laner. My main concern is post level 10 with Anubrak, cocooning Malf. It's the old textbook summer 2017 style where there is no support available and you can try to kill someone if you get the jump on them.
Oftentimes in the tournament already so far, we have seen Arthas bans, but not so many picks.
Yeah.
I think this is the first pick. I'm not 100% sure on that. But overall, we saw those Arthas bans in preemptiveness to say, okay, now we want Illidan. But this time around, Arthas is here to claim the Frozen Throne once again, potentially.
I mean, I think Arthur's going to find a lot of value here between the Illidan, the Navali, the Nubrak, potentially even Morales if she can jump on top. I mean, you got a lot of control on the side right now of Darkseid between the Slowing Sands, Arthas as well, and potentially, if that is going to be the case, you've got the lockdown to follow it up with the burst. It's looking good, but I mean, BTG get the aggression that we've been so hungry for from the Chinese region, so I think it's a bit of a toss-up. I'm actually not too sure where I sway with this if we were to take 2 names away.
I think BTG has a better Braxis holdout draft.
Yes.
They also have better global, so they have better control.
Yeah.
And they also have the Anubrak advantage, making a 5 versus 4. Darksided doesn't have any of those things, but they do have insane amounts of burst damage between Greymane and Chromie. In order to win this match, they'll need to leverage exactly that.
Yeah.
Early game kills, early game communication is very key here for Darksided. If they can make sure to keep tabs on their opponents, I can see them doing well, but I agree with Grubby here. I think the actual better draft for Braxis goes over to Beyond the Game.
Make sure to keep voting over in the chat as well with your hashtags, either DS or BTG, and make sure to tweet us at that one.
That's a difficult
hashtag. Not that.
I like that one.
Absolutely not that one. That was a tongue twister if everything. But okay, we're all ready to go over to our commentary team here for game number 2. So let's head over to see if Darksided can round things out.
Darksided with the lead here, going straight into Braxis, and we have seen a pretty cool draft here now too. So I'm actually hyped for this. After the first map already, was definitely fireworks there, and I want to see the same on the second.
I'm excited to see Illidan on this map. Obviously, it's a 2-lane map, but it's exciting to see how Illidan is going to be able to potentially use that global. Will they do something crazy because it is BTG? They've been showing us weird drafts. Will they try to play Metamorphosis with the double support? It's a possibility, but I'm leaning towards the hunt myself.
Yeah, there's a lot of mobility actually that we have on the team, especially with the potential for Medivac too. It's very reminiscent of what GFE does in North America here. So all the mobility that we have is definitely going to come into play here as we are heading into our second map. So we have Braxis and the lead for Darksided. So for BTG, everything is on the line now.
Indeed. So this is going to be it, guys. BTG having a rough start in this group, bringing it back here would give them the opportunity to play that third game to potentially go to the decider match here. Got a pretty unusual draft coming through from both sides, but this is Braxis and things do get a little bit crazy. The Morales pick especially, I think, is going to be quite interesting for extra sustain.
And we are starting with Darksided to the left side, Moops this time on Malfuria, and the ANZ team with Hacky on one of his key heroes, playing Chromie, Demise on Greymane, Robadoba on that front line once again, with Murden and Sashin this time on Arthas.
And on the other side of things, in red on their last life, Infinity will be playing Morales this time. ST on Illidan, Molly on the Vala with 365 on Brightwing, and last but not least, Ego on the Noob. And bit of a flex here. Usually it's Infinity who ends up playing the main DPS or the hyper carry here, so switching Molly over to that in this case.
And you know, overall, when we look at Beyond the Game's composition, there's a lot of really heavy dive. And when we talk about a hero like Chromie, you of course need to be super careful. Dive can be a problem for her. So it's always really important that you have a lot of protection. And especially as Trickster knows, a naked Chromie is a dead Chromie.
Yeah, you've got to have that protection counter. Trickster definitely an expert on that. As you know, you have to make sure that Chromie is in a position where she can be protected. Because when you look at a hero like Malfurion, for example, you know, he just doesn't have the ability to save her. There's no Tastar here. There's no shielding. So if she gets caught by an Anub'arak, for example, and stunned, not going to last very long.
Yeah, I'm absolutely agreeing here. So Arthas and Muradin will have to shield her quite well later on. For now, though, the aggression that we expect with this composition from the Beyond the Game is already coming in. Illidan far out here, immediately going in, always protected by the supports here. And in particular, of course, in the early game, on Braxis, Morales, it's very difficult to deal with.
Yeah, indeed. And, you know, the Nerubian armor here at level 1 for Anub'arak is going to help deal with Chromie. Obviously, the damage done, how much she can actually put into play here. And actually, at the moment, you know, she's come back up here for a little while there. Anub'arak was actually 1v1ing her in the bot lane. But I like this because now Chromie can actually put some extra burst onto these members. In the past, when you're having a Morales comp like this, Chromie can just keep chunking and it actually becomes very taxing for the Morales' mana pool, but now that she operates off of energy instead, I think that Beyond the Game will still be pretty happy with this 4v3 lane because they have so much sustain. This creates problems for Sashin down here who's now 1v2, and this is going to mean that at least one of the beacons will be guaranteed for Beyond the Game at this moment in time.
Yeah, the early game, of course, is going to be quite important here, but my eyes are really towards the mid game when we have level 10s. Since with all the global mobility that we are seeing on Beyond the Game, they can literally just attempt to play around the opponent and always aim for beacon control and maybe even lane push. So it's going to be interesting to see how Darksided reacts to it. For now, we have up at the top lane. High commitment here for potential killers. They're going in deep, trying to go for Molly. The heals are in, and there is just barely the damage mitigated to make sure that Vala does not die to that onslaught.
I can only imagine Twitch chat wishes they focused Infinity instead, but
focus for Alice.
Exactly. Didn't actually end up working out there in the end, and Molly barely survives. So again, I feel like this is not a huge win for Beyond the Game, but they're still able to accomplish more down here from the 2v1 than in the 4v3 Darkseid is able to do here, just because Morales has such a large healing output. They just can't out-sustain this, even with an extra member. In fact, they're going to rotate down.
And one of the cool things again is that we kill at the bot lane here against Arthas, as we just saw a second ago Brightwing explode. So a 1-for-1 trade overall. Demise finds himself in a bit of trouble as Illidan is willing to chase him into the towers. Both of them out of ammunition already, so no real threat to Illidan.
And Beyond the Game is crushing this. The trade is a win for them because now they're starting to win the top lane as well. They made it a 1-for-1. Illidan does more damage, and this actually might be them taking the first full channel here. So we do see the polymorph committed to Demise is the target. Robodoba is doing everything he can to slow this down. They're going to change targets here. He is keeping this beacon from being taken. Sashin's back.
Yeah, Sashin is coming in, and he gets the lockdown against Illidan, and there's the kill. Great kill by Darksided. They go for it, and then they want the second one, going straight for Brightwing, and they drop her to a 2-4-0 here at the bot lane for Darksided.
This is so great for ANZ, you know, or ANZ as Skimmy would say. They're having such a great performance this term. You could see the Twitter coming through. The fans know that this is going to be one of the first times Australia can get out of groups in an international event in HGC history. So they are so close to bringing to that decider match right now. Even though Hope's alive in terms of beacon progress with that pick. Great route there coming in from Sashin. They've taken back control of this lane as well.
We still have a lot of wave flare also on the side of Beyond the Game. Now, when we talk Vala, then oftentimes these days it's really the high prioritization of the Q build, the arrow build. But now we have the multi-shot hybrid because extra wave flare is needed for Beyond the Game on top of the hero damage. Talking hero damage, once again, problems for Illidan as he went in deep, but with Arthas controlling him and Robodoba adding just to that control and the CC that we have against the melee assassin, we see Illidan fall once again, making it 4 kills against 1 in favor of Darkseid.
Oh, good route here. 365 is going to have to hightail it out as well. Look at that stun on Molly. And these tanks are just making life hell for BTG right now. The roots, the stuns.
And Infinity didn't really do his hyper carry any favors here. The grenade hitting, but pressuring both of the tanks onto the damage dealer. And Vala was just sitting there, was like, team?
Yeah, report Morales in this case. And I mean, we're going to see this commitment to the gank here now on to Greymane. Demise barely gets over the wall, but ST is going to commit. I think he's going to die for it, though, and again,
Probably.
trades like this, I don't know, always work out for Darkside, especially when they don't know about this rotation down of Robodoba. Another great Howling Blast comes in for Sashin.
All right, let's just sum this up for a moment. Muradin and Arthurs are just fantastic for control here. Like, the entire time, they control the front line so extremely well against Illidan in particular, but also against any other hero. The sheer amount of CC that you have, if you land your first stun with Muradin, Arthur's walking in alone with a slow aura, the Frozen Tempest is already a problem. But if the Howling Blast gets stacked upon it as well, it's nearly impossible to escape
And then
here.
suddenly you got a Malfurion root on top of you, and you've got Chromie's best scenario, right? One target in place. You know, it's one of the hard things about Chromie, of course, is it's obvious, but hitting your skill shots. But when you have a immobile target to fire at, it's a lot easier. So great comp here, great execution from Darksided.
And we've been highlighting Robodoba as a frontliner for Darksided now several times, and he is once again excelling here. But the follow-ups from Sashin are fantastic. Once again, the jump in deep for Chromie. They're going in. Illidan this time might get the kill finally, and Hacky goes down. Chromie eliminated. This time, Robodoba was not able to help out enough, especially with Arthur's missing in the equation.
Yeah, it just happens to be when the dive comes through and you don't have these defensive tanks to help slow or root the attacker, in this case ST and Moldy together, then Chromie just doesn't have a large health pool. Malfurion doesn't have a burst. His healing is great for these two tanks, the slow, sustained healing. Not as good as Morales', but still very strong. But pre-10, when you have these dives coming through, he doesn't have the silence to save Chromie, so positioning is going to be important, and good punish coming through from beyond the game.
Now, our focus so far was very much so on the front line on the side of Darksided, and we still have to point out that on Greymane, we currently have not the traditional cocktail build, but instead it's Wolfheart into Eyes in the Dark, and then Quicksilver Bullets on level 7. Adjustments that we more so see on the Asian side of the meta, with China and Korea being on the forefront of really liking to go for heavy melee commitments with Greymane, whereas the Western scene is more so committed to heavy focus on the cocktail build.
Yeah, and that's something we've seen advanced in Korea. Haymaker is going to be the choice here coming out for Robodoba, and this is going to give him opportunities to do both aggressive plays onto the Morales, for example, but also can punish aggressive moves defensively here. Not in position to get the knockback there onto ST, but he's looking for it. Here comes the dash in.
And there we go, a playmaker against the Nubarak, though. The kill against Brightwing on the other hand, that was a big one. Demise went in deep and pays with his life for the kill. Illidan is trying to capitalize on the position, but he gets locked down by a Chromie trap, and in the meantime, Cocoon has been used too. Moops and Robodoba both trying to escape here, but a good follow by Molly with the Rain of Vengeance, locking down Malfurion and getting the kill, but the fight's not over yet.
Okay, Sashin is just trying to get his way out of here. Not going to happen, and Robodoba's out. No heals there, so this is a double kill here beyond the game. They want more. They've got a comp that can punish Hacky. Down he goes. Robodoba, the last man standing here. But this is not only just a 4-man push bot. You got Brightwing could go top to soak that experience. This is a Raven camp here. And beyond the game, can even try to push to threaten this keep wall now.
This turned quickly against Darkseid, and I think a big part of it was also that Robodoba didn't really intend to use Haymaker against Nubarak. He was more so trying to get one of the squishies into a bad position, but then hits the target, and they get the kill against Brightwing, but he was immediately punished, and once that Greymane was eliminated, the chase was on, and beyond the game went in. Now we have even experience again. Here comes again Cocoon as we see the deep dive against Greymane, and he is falling.
Yeah, Demise is down here. Stim drones used onto Molly. There's no way Moops is getting out of here. Just trying to buy time for the rest of his teammates to escape. A sacrifice well done here, but it's not going to change the fact that 2 are dead, and beyond the game is now going to look to Boss. They have 100% beacon control, a talent tier advantage. This could be the opportunity to not only keep, but potentially game if they can keep getting these picks onto Greymane specifically. Demise is the target. He has been taken out.
And at this point, I really have to question, especially the pick on Malfurion here. I feel like the entire way they are playing this right now makes a lot of sense. They control very well with their front line Illidan when he goes in, but the big problem is the lack of quick heals to save targets. In particular, Greymane is having such a rough time right now. Whenever he's getting engaged upon, there's no quick heals for him, no sustain on his side. So when he's targeted and focused, it's very rough for them to keep him alive.
Oh, look at this combo though, onto Moly. Infinity is going to keep him alive. Double root, not going to be having any follow-up damage right now. Robodoba is buying a lot of time. That's what they need to buy right now. This is a very powerful 100-0 Zerg wave right now, barreling down on this key.
Yeah, this is brutal. The top lane is getting obliterated by Beyond the Game. They suffered in the early game, but now they're 2 levels ahead. 13 against 11. The keep is already gone, and they're going in deep once again. Here comes the Cocoon, and they're jumping, and they're trying to get the kills. The cleanse already on the side of Illidan. Here comes the silence, but is it going to be enough?
That was a really good silence there. The boss is still nearly full health, though. Not sure there's any way out of this one. ST just going on this core. He gets stunned, though. Huge opportunity here for Robodoba. And down goes Arthas. Illidan still alive here. The boss is going in. I'm not sure they're going to be able to survive this one.
Chromie is down, and they're just continuing. They're trying to might get a double. Greymane goes down. He gets the counter kill, but the core is already falling down to 30% at this time. Going down to 20 and Beyond the Game with Illidan. They show no mercy. Go for it. 13 kills against 10. They tie this series. Beyond the Game winning game number 2.
And that is just the power of the Illidan in an attack like this. When you get a huge advantage like this, especially on this map, 100-0 Zerg wave, a boss and an Illidan, there's almost no way that any team, no matter who you are, is going to be able to defend it. I think this goes back to the Malfurion pick, and also I think the Haymaker didn't do them any favors. It meant that Murden had less sustain, which meant he had to go back, dive backwards, not forwards earlier in these fights, which meant that Hacky didn't have protection. He doesn't have any escape, so you lose your front line. Malfurion can't save Chromie, and she dies.
Darkseid did really well in the early stage of the game, but when level 10 came online, you could really tell that all of a sudden it was a completely different game. We see a lot of momentum build up by Beyond the Game. They carry that momentum to more or less a team-wide transition from taking the beacon straight into boss, and it's a massive push that finally ends the game in their favor.
Well, we are going to go ahead and see what the desk has to think about that second game before your game 3, so Kalaris, take it away.
Thank you very much, gentlemen. Bit of a bop in the end, I think, is something to describe that game. Unfortunately for Darksided, it seemed before 10 to be going not too badly, especially with the good old, very old school Arthas Muradin attack and comp that came to play. But after that, a little bit snowballed out of the control scheme.
Yeah, I mean, the question I was really asking on the desk here was where were the slowing sands? I mean, the ultimate from Chromie, that was really my go-to in the sense that, look how much is available on the side of BTG to interrupt it, not even cleanse necessarily needing to be used. You even see at the very last play there, with that push with the Zerg wave, he just pops safeguard and you got even 100-0. So, I mean, the composition has all this control. Imagine if Slowing Sands was there just to isolate those targets, isolate those choke points, because it's so fantastic for a map like Brax's Holdout.
It stops dive. I mean, I actually have no idea why he went to Boral Loop. Like, that's...
I mean, honestly, there's 9 interrupts.
Yeah.
Like Grenade, Metamorphosis, Nubrak double stun, Cocoon, Safeguard.
Like, I look at that for 2 seconds, like, oh, well, there's 2. Wait, there's 3, there's 4, there's 5. Like, immediately I just go Slowing Sand. So, a bit interesting there. It felt maybe they thought that they were ahead enough to where they could just kind of force their way over BTG. But it was a major mistake that I think ultimately kind of really ruined their chance for them to win that game.
Very difficult situation to be in, Groby.
Still, I really enjoyed the game. We're going to have another game between these two. Both game 1 and 2 have been very entertaining, very aggressive, very different style than we've been seeing so far. And although, those heroic choices, Haymaker and the lack of Slowing Sands may have played a little bit of a part, it is fun. We saw Stimdrown Metamorphosis to Illidan. We'll go to the final one.
Yeah, I was surprised at that. I said it as we were coming up here. I was like, that's